Welcome back, everybody. Today I've got a really exciting announcement for everybody. This is huge. The game that I've been working on for the past, honestly, 10 years or so is finally, well, it's not out yet, but it's on Steam. So you can go ahead and go to the link in the description and you can add this game to your wish list if it looks interesting to you. The game is called Detective Butler and the King of Hearts, and this is a sequel to another game that I made years ago called Detective Butler Maiden Voyage Murder, and you may have heard of this one. Both games are murder mystery games. I'll be talking more about the sequel in just a second, but for those who don't know, both of these are murder mystery visual novels, and they follow Detective Butler through the eyes of his sidekick Gilligan as they solve murder mysteries. So, this game is actually free to play right here if you want to check out my kind of writing style and how I make games. Although, to be fair, this game was made a long time ago, so hopefully I've improved since then. However, this still is a good representation of what you can expect going forward. So go ahead and, if you haven't seen this yet and you're interested, you can go ahead and play this game, and you can download some other cool stuff along with it if you really like what you see. But I want to talk more about the new game that's coming out. Maybe you are a fan of the original, maybe you don't even need to look at it, maybe you'd rather play this one. So let's talk about this game and what we have on the store page here. So the short description is the members of a university detection club find themselves entangled in a series of murders. Follow Detective Butler through the eyes of his sidekick Gilligan as the two set out to find the culprit. Can they unravel the truth before the serial killer claims another victim? So that is just like super exciting to me because for the longest time I was trying to figure out how I wanted to go about writing this story. I always knew that I wanted it to be on a college campus, and I knew that there would be a serial killer involved. But the idea of the detection club honestly did not come about until a lot later on down the road. And most of these characters actually were fairly recent in their design. So this has been many years in development, essentially. And by in development, I mean writing the story. So I really hope that the story is something that people enjoy because I put a lot of time and effort and thought into coming up with these characters who are all going to face off against each other in interesting ways. Everybody has their motivations for what they're after in the story, and we'll get into the more details here in this about section. So, Detective Butler and the King of Hearts is a linear murder mystery visual novel with emphasis on a fast-paced, character-driven narrative. The story is divided into 10 plus chapters. I'm thinking it will probably be 15 chapters, but I'm not totally sure just yet. So I said 10 plus. Each with its own mystery, while at the same time asking you to piece together a deeper mystery that spans across all chapters. No prior knowledge of the Detective Butler storyline is required to enjoy the game. So again, you don't need to go and play the other game to enjoy this one. Not necessary at all, but if you feel like it, the other game is only about, let's say, 3 to 5 hours long. It won't take you that long to go through. You could even get through it in a single night if you wanted to, just to sort of hype up your expectations for this game a little bit more. You could go and play the other one and get an idea for what to expect from this game. So, key features. We have estimated 15 to 20 hours of content, and honestly, I don't know, that might be on the low end of things because sometimes I find it hard to actually condense each chapter down to an hour. So, I don't know, this number might go up, but I'm setting the expectations kind of low for right now. So, I know 15 to 20 hours might actually be a lot for some people. A lot of visual novels aren't even that long. Western visual novels anyway. So, and certainly not any Western murder mystery visual novels. They're not that long. So, there might only be actually one other Western mystery that I'm aware of that would be this long. So, definitely a niche kind of genre we're in. Now, the other thing that is really cool about this is that we have unique hand-drawn art style with animated sprites and backgrounds. And the super neat thing about this is that I'm actually the one drawing the art for this, which was not really a decision that I wanted to do. But in retrospect, it is actually the best thing that could have happened for the project because from the very beginning, the issue that I always had was how am I going to afford an artist to draw these sprites? Because I wanted to tell a story with a lot of characters in it. And I really just couldn't figure out the best way to go about it because hiring an artist for a visual novel can get really expensive really fast. And, the more characters you have to your story, the more expressions they have, the more outfits and poses they have, it gets really, really costly. And we don't need to talk about this right now in detail, but the economics of making a visual novel are not very favorable typically. Um, because it takes a lot of money to develop the resources, but because visual novels tend to be very linear and not replayable, uh, you can't really get a whole lot of you can't get a whole lot of financial return back from the visual novels. They're not really known as a profitable genre, so it sort of influences the story, your budget, because if you start having a story with too many characters and you can't afford to draw them all, then you can't make the game. So being able to draw all of them myself actually helps because I can actually make the story that I want to make. I don't need to sacrifice anything for the sake of a budget or, cost constraints. So this is purely, this is purely the story that I want to tell, um, in the way that I want to tell it. So you've got the backgrounds here. These are photo filters of, believe it or not, these are not even real places that exist. They look like they do. And in the original game, the first game, these were real places. I actually physically went to these places to take pictures and filter the backgrounds. But in the sequel, these backgrounds are actually AI generated because we have that now. So that is super cool. And I know some people may be iffy about AI artwork, but trust me, I'm not just like typing in a prompt and getting stuff back out. These are part of my workflow. So I'm adding something to the utility of these things. And same for the sprites also. I draw the sprites on paper. In fact, I have a whole article on this on my website, goldbargames.com. I wrote one of the blog posts in January on how I do this step by step. And I would actually like to do a video on showing you guys how I do that too. But what I do is I draw these by hand and I let the AI help me out with designing the final like sprite. And then I take the AI's design and then I draw a second sketch. And then I actually take that second sketch and then feed that back into the AI, and it gives me the final result, which I think looks really good. And the animations are also used using AI. So that's how you get this sort of, you can't actually see the animations right here, actually, but the game will have animations in it, and maybe I'll show it on the screen here for a second. Yeah, if you actually go to detectivebutler.com, I forgot I wanted to mention this, you can actually see some more information about the game. And definitely, if you go visit the website, you should enter your name and email and get on the mailing list. That way you know when the demo is out and you can read more information about all this. But see, you can see the animations right here. And so this animation is actually created thanks to AI. It generates frames based on those sprites that are very slightly different from each other. So it looks like you've got that sort of Hotel Dusk effect here, but with sprites that are sort of hand drawn and sort of a Paper Mario kind of style. So it's a really neat visual that I personally like a lot, and everyone I show it to likes it a lot, which is really cool. It's really vindicating to know that I can actually draw the artwork for my own visual novel. It's neat, and honestly, I don't put that much effort into it. It feels natural, right? I'm not trying too hard to make it look like someone else's style. It's my own style. And I will say here, actually, I didn't include this on the Steam store page, but I am very inspired by a lot of modern TV shows when making this. So I hope that my dialogue and narration kind of sounds like a TV script more than anything. That's what I mean by fast paced. It's going to be something that holds your attention and keeps you hooked from start to finish. And so whenever you finish a chapter, you'll think, oh man, I got to watch the next one, right? I got to go to the next chapter. I got to turn the page. And I don't see a lot of visual novels doing that. But anyway, back to the store page. Let's take another look at the key features here. So we have one big murder mystery plus at least one small mystery per chapter. So what I wanted to do was have an overarching mystery that would needed to be solved and that would sort of maintain your attention across all the chapters. But I also wanted to have something within each chapter. So this is sort of the thing that's going to keep you hooked and that'll keep you paying attention to each chapter if you know that you have a puzzle to solve, kind of like how you might play like a platformer game and you have to, there's a level in each world, right? You don't just have like one world or you don't have like one level, right? You have multiple worlds and multiple levels. So I should also say that if you couldn't tell, a lot of my inspiration comes from the When They Cry series, Umineko, Higurashi, and that kind of thing. So if you're not familiar with that, that's okay. But in that story, they had a bunch of mysteries that you had to solve, and it wasn't just one mystery. So again, I'm trying to sort of have that large large scope, I guess you could say, which is a mistake to do for an indie game, right? You don't want to have a large scope, but we're doing it anyway. So that's just how the story is going to be. Um, but yeah, you can expect one big mystery plus a small mystery per chapter. And when I say small, I really do mean small. I don't want it to be that large that I can't finish the game. So they're going to be scoped down appropriately, but I've put a lot of thought into all of these. So really, I really do hope you enjoy the mysteries for what they are. We also have case notes and lecture notes to help you solve each mystery. This is similar to the journal feature of this game right here, and I'll show you that some point in the future, but right now you can kind of see what it would look like. And here we have also a large cast of characters with secrets to uncover. This is true. Um, it is large. It's definitely by Western visual novel standards. We have, if you go back over here, we have, if you count, there's 21 characters right here, and this is just the main cast. There's going to be more characters that you encounter. Ultimately, I think there will be at least 50. So you'll have 50 characters to interact with and get to know and understand. And that's pretty interesting because not a lot of visual novels try to have a cast that big. But my writing style is, trying to write a mystery. Every person in the story has to be there for a reason. You can't just put people there. So every single character here serves a function, kind of like that programming principle where every function does one thing. It's like every character serves a function. So every character here is here for a reason, and they have secrets that they're hiding that matter to the solution of the mystery. So that's super cool. And thought-provoking themes on truth, happiness, life, and death. So I don't know how much more I should talk about this point right here, but if you're interested in a story that gives you something to actually think about after you're done reading it, and maybe reflect on things a little bit in your actual life a little bit, this story will give you that. It's not just like junk food that you consume and you're done with it. You end up thinking about this after you're done reading the story, and hopefully it will be something that can improve your life. Again, inspired by the stories that I read, where it's like I can take away some actual lessons that I can apply to my life after reading the story. Hopefully you can get the same thing out of it. And lastly, we do have an original soundtrack, so it's important to mention that. We will sell it separately from the game if you want to listen to that as well. It's not totally finished yet, though. We're still making songs for the final game, but look forward to that too when it's done. So here we have the story, which we call a story of mystery, romance, and adventure. And it's true. The story is going to be in all three of these genres a little bit because I found out that these are the type of stories that I enjoy reading. I like mysteries, I like romance, I like adventure, I like it all. So inspired by the type of stories I like to read, this is hopefully something that you will also like to read. 3 years after the events of Detective Butler Maiden Voyage murder, Gilligan Golder is now CEO of his late father's life insurance company, where Butler now also works as a fraud investigator. At the same time, Gilligan has been attending classes at the prestigious Diamond University. People who have read the first game might know a little bit more about this if they read the DLC. The company's investors have great expectations for Gilligan upon his graduation. One day, Gilligan and Butler learn about a detection club at the university. At the same time, a serial killer has been targeting the female students, each victim's heart ripped out from a gaping wound. As none of the hearts have been found, apparently stolen, the killer has been nicknamed the King of Hearts. It took me a long time to figure out this name. I really wanted the serial killer to have a cool name, and I really like the way that this one turned out, so I'm proud of that. Tensions have grown on campus as the female students fear becoming the next victim, and the male students fear being falsely accused as the killer. See, it's a sort of a relevant theme, right? In the midst of all this, Gilligan falls in love with one of the girls, but lacks the confidence to pursue her. Eventually, a new victim is discovered, one of the members of the detection club. And the prime suspect? Detective Butler. So, a plot twist, right? Did the butler do it? Gilligan refuses to believe it. With Butler as the brains and Gilligan doing the legwork, they work together to pursue the truth and catch the true killer. The other members of the detection club all have secrets they want to remain hidden. Will Gilligan come to regret the truth he ends up discovering? What are the consequences of telling comforting lies over the harsh truth? And what are the consequences of believing them? So these are the deeper themes of the story, and these themes are illustrated through the interactions of the characters and the plot of the mystery. So it's all connected, okay? This is one of those games where you have to pay attention to every detail because it all matters. And I've put so much effort into every detail of this. that it really is all connected. And I really don't like it when visual novels just add stuff in there for no reason. A lot of Western developers might just like hit their keyboard a bunch of times and type up, tens or hundreds of thousands of words, and the words don't really matter. Um, so, I don't know if this is ultimately going to be a medium length or a very long kind of visual novel, but I want the words to matter. So that's why I call it fast paced. The words matter. There may not be that many words compared to the really long works of fiction. In fact, I think if it's too long, people will get bored. But the words that are in there are going to matter, and they're all going to connect to this theme of truth versus happiness, right? That's sort of the theme of the first game, and it is certainly the theme of this game. Now, as for the gameplay, think like a detective. The primary gameplay is within your own mind as you try and solve the mysteries yourself. The game will provide you with case notes and lecture notes to help you keep track of the characters, clues, and other important information. You will encounter choices to personalize your experience and test your skills of deduction, but they won't influence the outcome of the story. So this was actually a really intentional decision on my part. Instead, you'll be taking on an emotional roller coaster with many exciting twists and turns as the mysteries slowly unravel themselves. I wanted this to be a game where the emphasis is on the story. We don't have you trying to figure out which route to take, because if you don't know which route to take, you might experience the story in the suboptimal way. You might not have the most interesting experience, most enjoyable experience. So you're going to be sort of railroaded through a single linear story, but hopefully it's going to be one that you're really going to love and enjoy and get something out of. That's the goal here. And I spent a lot of time building different gameplay systems and different branching path type of things, but it just didn't really add to the experience, and in fact, it sort of made things worse. So we're just going to go with a linear experience here. In addition to the overarching mystery of the King of Hearts serial murders, each chapter has at least one dedicated mystery for you to solve. Please enjoy solving all of them. So that just about does it for the store page here. There is mature content in the game, written descriptions of murder, alcohol use and violence, cartoon depictions of blood and violence, mild swearing. The story is still being written at the moment, so I may need to add some things to this as time goes on if I find it necessary. Ultimately, though, this is obviously a story recommended for at least teenagers and above. Use your own discretion, right? I don't know. It's not going to include any sexual scenes or anything like that, so it doesn't need to be over 18. But I just want to give you a fair warning that it's not going to be for everybody, and that's fine. I want it to be an amazing experience for the people that like it, right? The people who like it, I want them to love it. So that's what we're going to go for. And so if this sounds interesting to you, if you're interested in a story that deals with the difference between truth and happiness and life and death and all of these different things, some sort of action adventure with some romance sprinkled in there and a mystery that underlines the whole thing, I think you'll definitely enjoy this game. So be sure to click that big button, add to your wish list. It may or may not look like this on your screen whenever you log in, but whenever you do, hit the add to wish list button, and you will get to see, you'll get an email whenever the game is actually ready for release. And I will also mention, I do want to put out a demo before then. So that's what this other website's for. If you go all the way, to the bottom or to the top, you can enter your name and email, and you will be alerted of when there is a demo for you to play. You may not be alerted about the demo if you only add to your wish list. So please do put in your name and email into here on detectivebutler.com. We also have a mailing list form on goldbargames.com that will do the same thing, but just to be on the safe side, go to detectivebutler.com and put it in here. That way I know that you're interested in Detective Butler specifically, and yeah, we will make sure that you know about the demo. And the reason that I asked you to do this is because having wish list numbers and just a count of how many people are interested in your game is super important for independent game developers to succeed. If you don't get your game out there on launch day or launch week, it basically gets left in the dust. So you have to start building early and marketing early. These are things that I've learned from experience. So I'm not just sort of saying this just to say it. I'm saying it because it's necessary to get this stuff out here. That's why there's no trailer yet on the page. You don't even need to have a trailer. In fact, most visual novel games, if I'm being totally honest here, they don't even have trailers that show their gameplay. They really don't matter for visual novels. So That's why I didn't really wait to make one because they're usually not even accurately representing their content anyway. But um, but yeah, you can kind of get the gist of it just from the pictures and the description. I will add a trailer before the game is released because you have to do that on Steam. But and I would want to do it anyway. But I'm just saying we don't have a trailer yet, we don't have a demo yet, but we will. And when we do, it'll be even more exciting to see how much people are going to be interested after that because I know I want this to blow people's minds and give them a really really fun experience. So if this sounds like something that you really really want to play, then don't forget to add that to your wish list and also consider putting your email in here. Both of these help us out a lot. And while you're at it, I guess like and subscribe because this is a YouTube video, so do that while you're here. So yeah, I just asked like 4 things of you, but if you manage to do just one of them, I will be very happy. Okay, so thank you for watching. Look forward to more updates, and I will see you in the next video.